Oh, certainly. I think it would be a shell shock on the scale of the entire polling establishment of this country having a really hard look at itself, perhaps even closing down. Because ultimately what we're seeing is huge sustained leads for Liz Truss, between 25 and 30-point leads, not just in a couple of polling companies, but across the board. There is no polling company that puts the lead of Liz Truss within the margin of error. It's pretty much certainty. Or as close to certain as you can get, as confident as you can become in any of these processes that Liz Truss has won this race. And that means that at 12:30 today we will hear that result, a short speech from Liz Truss when that announcement is made, and then she goes to prepare for government, because whilst she may become leader of the Conservative Party this afternoon, it's not until tomorrow that we get the exchange of prime ministers, with both Boris Johnson and his successor flying up to Balmoral to kiss the hand of the Queen for that formal exchange of power. Before Boris Johnson goes up to Balmoral tomorrow, he'll make a short speech on the steps of Downing Street, his final as Prime Minister. That'll be here on breakfast tomorrow morning, and then by the time that Liz has flown up to Balmoral and back down again on that prime ministerial plane, it'll be the afternoon when she will make her first speech as Prime Minister here in Downing Street. And from that moment onwards, it's the cabinet appointments. And we've got a fairly clear idea of who at least will be part of her top team. The great offices of state, so they're called: the Treasury, the Home Office and the Foreign Office. Well, of course, Liz Truss was Foreign Secretary, is still Foreign Secretary, and it's likely her successor in that role will be James Cleverly, currently Education Secretary, was a Foreign Office Minister under Liz Truss for a long time. He was also previously chairman of the Conservative Party, one of Liz Truss's early backers, and someone seen to be on the Thatcherite wing of the Conservative Party, ideologically aligned with Liz Truss. As for Home Secretary, it looks like it will not be Priti Patel, but Suella Braverman who will take that post. Suella Braverman, of course, stood to be leader of the Conservative Party herself at the start of this process, was knocked out in the MP rounds and quickly endorsed Liz Truss, a key figure in terms of getting the European Research Group MPs endorsing Liz Truss and propelling her to the premiership. So Home Secretary likely for Suella Braverman. And as for the Chancellor of the Exchequer, well, it looks like it'll be Kwasi Kwarteng. He is a close ally of Liz Truss. They entered Parliament in 2010 at the same time, co-authored a book together, Britannia Unchained, much discussed that book, but also he has been a close ally of hers throughout their time in Cabinet together. Likely that Kwasi Kwarteng will move into number 11 tomorrow. And then after those Cabinet appointments are made, Wednesday morning, a Cabinet meeting, and midday Wednesday, of course, Prime Minister's questions. And perhaps it will be this week, but certainly within 7 days, that we will hear what is being reported as a shock and awe strategy of help with energy bills, addressing the most significant crisis that this country, and indeed consumers in this country, have faced for a long time. But that's the process that we will see over the next few days in this street. It will be a flurry of activity. But just finally, to answer the question that Mark wrote in to us this morning to ask why didn't Boris Johnson stand as a candidate in this election, well, I'm afraid even if he wanted to, it is not allowed under the rules of the Conservative Party. Yes, they foresaw such a scenario where a leader may resign and then stand again. That is explicitly ruled out in the Conservative Party leadership election rules. So even if Boris Johnson had wanted to do that, the rules wouldn't have let him.